Oh shit, we're fucking live, Randy.
We're
Holy
live,
shit. Look at that. We got
live,
people in the chat.
and in
We're drinking
color.
beers. It's Saturday night. It's fucking
I,
chilling and shit.
I'm drinking a Coke right now. I ain't drinking beer right now. I drank beer earlier, so kind of slowing down for a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Yay!
well you just got back. So Nemo Beer's asking how far back are we going? We're going pretty far back, but
Yeah.
actually before we go there,
Okay.
Randy, I
Yeah.
want to tell a quick story.
Go ahead.
Okay.
It's your show. You can do whatever you want.
I want to talk about, hey, well, let's just say hi to folks before we go deep into it, because I want to
Okay.
give a little time for people to show up. Hey there, Paranormal Discussions, Mickey G.
Yep.
Oh, she got an actual channel name.
Yeah.
Oh
Got a
shit, that
show.
reminds me. I gotta subscribe. Hold on.
Yeah. I already
Subscribing
subscribed.
now. So it's called Paranormal Discussions. Is that the name of the channel?
Yeah. Paranormal discussions with Mickey G and Brandon. With Mickey and Brandon. I think is what it was.
With
Yeah.
Mickey and Brandon.
Yeah. I'm subscribed to it. I'm watching her.
There we
She's gonna
go.
mess it up, and I'm gonna be there to mess with her when she does.
Hey there, Mickey. I just subbed right now.
There we go. Well, man,
So
who else we got out
You
there?
bet you better entertain my ass, girl.
Yeah, no,
You
no,
better
don't.
entertain my
If you
ass.
entertain him, you'll never get rid of him. I'll just tell you that right now.
Flat Rock Land. Yo, what's up, Flat Rock? What's good? Who else is here? We got 6 people in the chat. Wow.
Nemo's out there. You got Josh, Cryptic Crossroads. He's out there. Flat Rock Land. Got him too.
Cryptical
Oh,
Crossroads. I'm sorry, Cryptical Crossroads. We're not going to talk about too much cryptid stuff. Maybe. You never know. It might come up.
well, you got some of them wrestlers out there that are pretty almost being Sasquatches anyway. So
Yeah. And I
do I need
figure
to?
sometimes people, you know what? My show really functions to offer a break for people because a
Yeah.
lot of these people here are in these other chat rooms and they're listening to shows all week long about paranormal and cryptid shit. And you know what? I figure Saturday night, crack open a beer, you need a little break
Yep.
from that. Talk about some
And
other shit.
And quite frankly, when we're talking about this stuff and we talk about wrestling, look what the WWE with John Gonzalez. There's the Sasquatch right there. Okay. Period.
Hmm. I often say Giant Gonzalez is what you get if you shaved a Bigfoot or like partially shaved him. That's
Yeah.
exactly what he would look like.
That poor guy. I felt for that man. I really did.
To say I'm being entertained.
Well, he
Yeah.
never gets entertained. Nemo never gets entertained when I'm on here anyway.
And Mickey's like, thank you. And I don't know how great I'll do, but I'm willing to try. Okay.
Might as well.
Randy,
Yeah.
let me tell you a quick story about one of the greatest moments in pro wrestling for pro
Okay.
wrestling fans that most pro
Okay.
wrestling fans are not aware of.
Okay. Let
I'm
me
not even sure
lay
if
it
you're
on me.
aware.
Lay it on me.
Let me figure out the year first. This was not that long ago. Um, hold on. I'm just trying to figure out what year. Oh, this is 2014. In 2014, there was a promotion called Metamoris. Are you familiar
Okay.
with Metamoris?
Not really.
Metamoris was a league started by the sons of Hori and Gracie. Hori and Gracie is the older brother of Hickson and
Yeah.
Horace Gracie. He's the oldest
Okay.
son,
Okay.
and his 2 sons, they started a league called Metamoris, which was submission grappling. The idea was that there was sport Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but there was a lot of bullshit going on in sport Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
Okay.
with the gi, because a lot of it was like for points,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of it was gi. But Metamoris, they wanted no gi, submission only.
Mm-hmm.
If no one gets a tap out by the end of the match, there's no winner. It was none of
Well,
those shit ass rules with like mainstream Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments, right? And
yeah.
so, because of the rules and the nature of the sport, a lot of like MMA, UFC fighters would show up, but then also a lot of like Abu Dhabi champions.
Yeah. No,
Because
that.
people who don't know, Abu Dhabi was at that time like the World Cup for like submission grappling.
Yeah.
Wrestler Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. They would all meet up at Abu
All of
Dhabi.
them. Yeah. Yep.
But Metamoris was supposed to be like a league for straight submission grappling.
Okay.
And it wasn't tournament formats. It was like super fights. It was like UFC where they would just have individual fights.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they do
They
right
would
now. They
promote
have a
stuff.
card, and this is on the card. Yeah.
Yeah. So back in 2014, they get they organize a match.
Okay.
Now you are familiar with Josh Barnett.
Yeah. The name sounds familiar.
Josh Barnett's a former UFC heavyweight champion.
Okay. Yeah.
He fought in Pride, but the thing about
Yep.
Josh Barnett, his background is catch as catch can,
Okay.
catch wrestling.
Okay.
Okay. And he's all about catch wrestling. He's all about the history of wrestling. I've listened to him on a bunch of podcasts where he's really like he's like a scholar of like the grappling arts.
Okay.
You know, he learned from like catch as catch can, Billy Robinson, descendant who had his lineage from people like Carl Gotch, went all the way back to like the English folk style, and he was really a champion of that. And he went in there to represent that in the
Okay.
UFC, in Pride, in his MMA career. And as a matter of fact, not only was he a full-time professional MMA fighter and coach, he also was a worker. He wrestled in New Japan.
Okay.
This is him against Minoru Suzuki,
Yeah.
who also has a catch background.
Now, what's his
Do you know
name
who
again?
that is?
Say his
Josh
name again.
Barnett. Josh Barnett.
Yeah, because he looks familiar to me.
Okay.
Is that MVP?
Look at that's MVP. Damn
Okay.
straight. He had a match
Well,
with MV fucking P.
well, MVP used to be able to go back in the day too. I mean, don't get me wrong. MVP's no
Yeah.
slouch at all.
No, he's not a slouch.
No, he's a legitimate I shouldn't say MMA, but he is practicing the arts. So,
This is him against Minoru Suzuki.
hmm
But yeah,
Suzuki
he's
was
a
a beast,
worker.
though.
He wrestled for like New Japan. So
Okay,
he was like a Dan Severn, Ken Shamrock, right? They would fight
gotcha,
MMA, but they would also moonlight as actual pro wrestlers.
gotcha. Okay,
But Josh Barnett had that background because of his catch wrestling, right? His
and that's probably
opponent
where
for
I
Metam-
remember him from more than anything else is when he was doing his pro wrestling stuff.
right. His opponent for Metamoris was this motherfucker, Dean Lister, multi-time Abu Dhabi champion. Dean Lister was up until that match had gone like some ridiculous amount of time with never being tapped.
Dude, look at what he's doing to that dude's leg. Honestly,
And these are like the top of the food chain grapplers. Like
yeah.
he coaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts.
But I'm just looking at the leg. He is literally turning that leg inside out on that dude. I can't even tell who that he's fighting. That dude looks familiar.
I think that's Abu Dhabi.
No, I'm saying who's the dude he's twisting on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Because that poor boy's in pain.
I would recognize his name. Yeah.
I would imagine he's tapping right now because it looks like that knee is
Oh,
completely
he's
out of
tapping.
socket.
Yeah, yeah. You see his
That
fingers.
knee
He's
looks
tapping.
completely out of socket. Yeah. So
Dean Lister's reputation, by the way, Randy, this guy was known amongst Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like masters, like black belts,
yeah.
as the guy who knew like every move, every setup.
hmm
He was the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu equivalent of Dean Malenko. You know how Dean Malenko had the reputation of like the man of
Man
a
of a
thousand
thousand
holds?
holds. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
knew like every single move.
Judging
That
from
was
a
him
skin
from
right
Brazil.
there, look at his bicep now. Look at him wrenching in on it, and look at his
Yeah.
neck. His bicep and his neck alone. He doesn't look it on the left, but look when he's actually flexing there on that right. That dude is a beast when it comes to that upper body.
So this is the guy that like other MMA fighters who are like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, they go to
Uh
this
huh.
guy for coaching.
I believe it. I believe it.
This guy had not been tapped in years. He knew like every setup to every position, every move, every submission. The
Okay.
guy was known as like a walking encyclopedia. So he was impossible to grapple because whatever move or setup you went for, he just knew the answer,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
this guy was set up in Metamours against Josh Barnett, catch wrestler,
Okay.
worker. Josh Barnett taps him out first round with a
Josh
headlock.
Barnett tapped him out that quick.
With a headlock, a regular ass headlock. And not only that, but Dean Lister, if you look at his shirt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, when they go no gi, they'll have their shirts on with like all the logos, all the sponsors.
Yeah.
Josh
Yeah.
Barnett came out in simple ass wrestling trunks.
Yeah. But
And when they
look
asked him why he was dressed that way, he said, I wanted to represent the art of pro wrestling.
now. Now here's the thing though, as I'm looking at that picture right there, this is I'm assuming where he's tapping out too.
Yeah,
Um,
this is where he's tapping out.
it's not just the headlock. What he's got wrenched on there right there, he's about to rip that dude's shoulder out of socket with his body.
Well, he called it, I forgot what he called it.
It's a headlock. Don't get me wrong. I know what you're saying, but it's
Yeah.
not just a headlock. He's got that
Yeah.
arm in there and using that arm like an arm bar. I hate to say arm bar because it's really not a bar.
Well, no, it's
He
actually it's working the same way a triangle choke works.
There you go.
If you
But he's
yeah,
using his body and that guy's arm to do the
yeah.
choking.
That's how a
That's
triangle choke
wild.
functions.
That's wild to me. You know how he was able to do it that quick.
Well, it was
I
at the
mean,
very end of the first round. The first round was like 20 minutes, so they went on for
yeah.
like 20 minutes, but they had seconds left to go at the end of the first round, and he
Okay.
just snaps on that headlock.
He was able to get
Dean
it
Lister
on him. Then
taps. Yeah, Dean Lister taps.
that's wild.
This is a guy
That
who
is,
was like untapped, known amongst Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts as being untappable.
and I sure as hell wouldn't be the one to try it either but unfortunately, look
And
at the size of the legs on freaking
Josh
um
Barnett,
yeah. Look at
yeah,
his thighs. That
he
dude
had a
is built
considerable
for a
weight
ground.
advantage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could get ground pound for a while. You know what I mean? And he could put weight on that guy, and the weight on top of his chest as well isn't
Mhm.
helping any. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, Josh Barnett actually helped coach and train Brock Lesnar when he got into MMA.
I believe it.
He was
Yeah,
one of Brock Lesnar's early teachers.
and Lesnar's another one though. I mean, you watch Lesnar's fight styles; he tries to get that kind of headlock
Yeah.
type stuff on people if he can. Because once he starts really flexing, there ain't a whole lot they could do other than tap. I mean, you could try and fight out of it, but if he gets you really locked in, as like Barnett had right there, that's that's almost impossible to get out of.
And it was such a simple ass move, which is so ironic because this is the guy who knew like every setup, every
Yep.
fucking thing, and then he taps out to a fucking headlock
Yeah.
by a pro wrestler who goes in there dressed to represent pro wrestling,
Well,
right?
Nemo got a question over there about judo, and it depends
Judo
on the
used to
damn.
be well, okay. I can talk a bit about this.
Yeah.
It's not that judo so Brazilian jiu-jitsu actually comes directly from judo.
Hmm.
Well, actually, I'm gonna get into it, where Brazilian jiu-jitsu actually came from.
Okay.
But the thing is, the judo that was started is very different from the judo that you see practiced in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Sport judo, that was a fairly like, judo started in, like, it started around the Civil War time
Okay.
by Jigoro Kano, the
Okay.
founder.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit after the Civil not during the Civil War, but maybe like
Yeah.
a
No.
decade or so after.
Yeah. In the
But
1870s, right?
yeah, 1870s. But his was it was just a martial art. The whole sport judo thing, that only came about when judo became like an Olympic sport. When did judo become an Olympic sport? Let's look it
It
up.
depends. It depends on the year. It depends on the year, and it depends on the actual the place you're at because they were
1964.
that was the first time it was done, but it wasn't every 4
Yeah,
years. They didn't have judo every 4 years. It
right,
depended on where they were at.
right.
It's one of those that
So
they'd alternate whenever. So.
once judo became a like an Olympic sport, they changed so much about the martial art.
Hmm.
Like for example, judo used to have a lot more ground submission stuff. Like Brazilian jiu-jitsu is mostly ground submission stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It's mostly on the ground. Although you can say that Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically what judo used to be before it became an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Now, when it became an Olympic sport, they have a rule where you can only spend a certain amount of time on the ground before they stand you up. So if you're going to lock on a submission hold, you got to do it as soon as you hit the ground. That's why judo. That's why people like Ronda, and like if you see like judo players, like people like Ronda, you notice how
Yeah,
they're really good at snapping that armbar real quick. Because in sport judo,
yeah.
you only get that amount of time.
No, I mean, yeah, and judo really isn't one that they did a lot of quote unquote arm bars like we see nowadays. Judo was about the throws and getting them down and doing the
Yeah.
chokes. That was
Well,
well, and that it
it's
really
the way
wasn't even so
it's the
much
way
the
this
chokes as,
it's the way
as
they
was
score
throwing.
it. It's the
Yeah,
way they score it because they chose to score it a certain way. All
yeah,
the athletes who are serious about it chose to just focus on those techniques. Like if you get a nippon in sport judo, nippon is basically when you throw a person on their
yeah,
back.
yep.
That's match over. You've won. So you can
Which
also
no,
win with tap out, but the thing is, a lot of these high level athletes, they think strategically, you just want to go straight for the
yeah,
ippon.
you want to throw them and that's it. Once you throw them, it's over.
Yeah.
Which to me waters down the sport, quite frankly.
It's like that with Olympic wrestling though. Okay. So in
Yeah,
Olympic wrestling, if you watch Olympic wrestling,
yep,
there's okay. So in the amateur levels, there's a lot of pinning, right? And a lot of times you go for
mhm,
the pin because when you go for the pin, you know you won. But
exactly,
at the Olympic levels, if you watch that shit, those guys are so high level, and a lot of them are so unpinnable that what do? They wrestle for points.
exactly, 100%. They want the takedowns.
Wrestle
They
for
want the
points.
mounts. They want to be able to do a roll to get a judge's point here or a point there. That's all they're
Yeah,
going for.
it's because of the rules of the sport.
Yeah,
So, if you look at Brazilian jiu-jitsu where it's all on the ground, that was there in judo, they just took it out for the Olympic sport,
yeah,
but that's
which
not what
makes
judo
sense.
originally was.
It makes
So,
sense. I can understand that.
okay, so do you know the history of how Brazilian jiu-jitsu started?
Let's see. No,
Okay. It was
it
like
had
in 19 okay.
Gracie.
No, the guy who started it, who deserves credit for it, is Mitsuyo Maeda.
Okay,
That's a picture of him right there. Guy was born in 1878. He met Carlos and Helio Gracie, the patriarchs of the Gracie family, in
okay,
1924 when he was living in Brazil.
gotcha.
He
Okay,
had just immigrated. Um, Not only did he immigrate, he got citizenship. He took on a Brazilian wife and had a kid there.
yeah, yeah. Okay. It's really
And
bad though. He
what's
looks like the
up?
dude from Warrior.
Oh, we all look alike to you, don't we,
I'm just saying,
Randy?
look
Don't
at the dude. Look at that other picture. He looks like the dude from Warrior.
Randy, do I look like the dude from Warrior?
Yeah, you might.
You know what? I definitely look more like him than you do.
You dang right on that one.
Yeah.
I'm the fat cop he beat the shit out of in the first daggum episode.
So so this guy actually
Yeah.
okay, so Homeboy was born in 1878, right?
Okay.
He meets the very founder of judo, Jigaro Kano. This guy
Okay.
founded the martial art, right? He is the
Okay.
master of masters. He did not train directly under Jigaro Kano. Jigaro Kano had four students, and they're known as like the four gods of judo.
Okay.
And one of those gods of judo, Mitsuyo Maeda trained under. So he's like third generation under
Gotcha.
Jigaro Kano.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so on the left you have Jigaro Kano. Third generation down is Mitsuyo Maeda, who taught
Hmm.
directly Carlos Gracie.
Yep.
And then Carlos Gracie taught on the right Helio Gracie, his younger brother. Helio Gracie is the one who's the father of like Hoist,
Voice and
Dixon,
yep.
all of them. Horion. He's the granddaddy of the Hickson family.
Gotcha.
Um, and then from there, that's where MMA comes from. But that's the lineage. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
quite frankly, what they went to the MMA you see now is not what we watched when we watched the UFC originally. Obviously,
no, the rules were completely different.
exactly, 100%.
It was a completely different
Make
sport.
any money off of it. To truly make money
So
off it and be legit, they had to do stuff to make it. I don't know, less barbaric, I guess, is what they wanted to call it. Because quite frankly, I enjoyed 1 through 6. UFC 1 through 6, I absolutely loved because it was straight out, true mixed martial arts because there was nobody doing the same thing, you know what I mean? You had all different disciplines.
You know what the original UFCs were, Randy? They
Kumite?
were they were an infomercial for
Uh-huh.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Well, could be, yeah.
I mean, think about it. Who started the UFC? Orion Gracie.
Yeah, but the problem is if he hadn't have had Hoist at the time, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would have never taken off like it did,
It wasn't Hoist wasn't originally the first choice to fight in the UFC.
which makes no sense to me because he's better than all of them.
No, he's not. Hoist says it himself multiple times. He's actually Hoist like in multiple interviews, even when he was like champ in like the early UFC days, he'd
Uh-huh.
be like, "Yo, I'm like the weakest person amongst my brothers."
Yeah. And that might be true, but,
Yeah.
at that time, though, he was the most
No,
feared of all of them.
everyone knew that Hickson was the best out of all of them. Even Hoist was like, "Yeah, Hickson would smoke me." But the
Yeah, I
problem
mean,
was
but
Hickson couldn't fight. Oh, you know why they chose? Do you know why they chose not to go with Hickson? Because Hickson at the time, the dude was shredded and jacked.
yeah.
So Hoist looked like a fucking computer programmer. So they thought that
Eh,
if Hoist won the whole thing, it would be better promotion for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. People would think, and it worked. Ultimately, it really worked. Because people would think, oh man, if that guy who's like way smaller than everyone, who looks like a computer programmer, can just tap everyone out like that, then maybe I can. And
um,
because of that, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu got really popular.
yeah, well, you got over there uncivil engineer, I always thought it was Royce, and a lot of people went by Royce for a long time with him because that's the
No,
way he
it's
pronounced
Hoist. No,
the
Brazilians,
way
they
he
pronounce
spelled it the way he spelled it was Royce, and that's what a lot of people called him for a long time, but it was actually
yeah,
Hoist the whole time.
yeah, but that's, actually, it's Brazilian Portuguese, ours are H sounds.
Mhm. And
So,
Nemo says something about Frank Dukes fighting it. Frank Dukes didn't fight in UFC. He fought
no,
in
he
the
didn't
Kumite.
never fought in the UFC. Frank Dukes
He
was
he is
that
a
should be a
Kumite.
podcast in and of itself.
Yeah, we got a whole thing of
That
that,
should be
but
a
the
podcast.
legend is
We
he
gotta
fought in
yeah, we gotta do a
Kumite.
whole podcast on Frank Dukes.
So,
That's
yeah,
coming. That's coming.
and that's when we
Benny the Jet was also
got
awesome.
a lot of different things on that one. So, anyway,
Hmm. Okay, so anyway, Mitsuyo Maeda, right? He starts
okay,
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
yep,
He's the guy that teaches it.
okay,
Okay, but the thing is, before he was living in Japan, now the legend is that when he moved to Japan, or not, I mean Brazil, the guy did not speak any Brazilian. He only spoke Japanese and a little bit of English, and he
okay,
had no way of like earning money. So Carlos Gracie's father was a friend of his, and he said, "Hey, you should start a school. You're really talented, and maybe teach my sons, and then I can help you like teach you how to fish."
okay,
So he would make money like as an actual fisherman. In
all right,
exchange, he would teach the senior Gracie like his sons like his what he knows about judo. But here's the thing that a
okay,
lot of people don't know. Mitsuyo Maeda, before he moved to Brazil, was actually touring around with some other Japanese judo masters and fighting wrestlers in America, like catch wrestlers and Greco-Roman guys, and putting on exhibitions. He tried to fight Jack Johnson.
well, I'm gonna tell you right now
They would
that
do like mixed. They would do like mixed matches like that.
and Jack Johnson at that time would have been the one to do because that's quite frankly, they'd already run his name down in the state, so he had to do whatever he could. You know what I mean? So,
And there were stories, Randy, when I was researching this guy's life story
mhm,
before he moved to Brazil. He was touring around in the US, right? They brought him and his partner, the other Japanese judo guy, they brought them two over. The US Marines wanted to check them out
yeah,
because at the time they didn't know about that much about Japanese martial arts. And so they
yeah,
wanted to see an exhibition and see how applicable it was.
exactly.
So what they did was I guess they did a demo in front of like a bunch of soldiers, and then they gathered everyone in a circle, and he would take dudes on.
Yeah,
And
might as
apparently
well.
he was smoking like these like football players,
Mhm.
tapping them out. And here's the other kicker about this guy, Randy. The guy was 5'5",
Okay. Don't mean nothing.
like a buck 40.
Uh, and he was a badass,
Yeah.
plain and simple. There ain't no other way around it. He's a badass.
But here's another thing. This is what Josh Barnett talks about that I found really fascinating one day in one of his podcasts because he's like a historian of this stuff.
Mhm.
While this dude is going around New York, or not, well, he went to New York, but while he was going around in like the US, visiting
Yeah,
Cuba, taking out the
yeah,
wrestlers there and everything, this guy also does like move exchange or like technique exchange
yeah,
because he's challenging like actual American wrestlers
yeah. So he's
and
learning and
catch
teaching too,
wrestlers.
isn't he?
Yeah.
He's learning their stuff and teaching
They're
his.
like they're
Yeah,
exchanging techniques, right?
which is cool. Yeah.
And he while he was living in Brazil and teaching these guys, what
Uh
Josh
huh.
Barnett mentions, he was also taking like yearly trips to America for like pro wrestling exhibitions.
Okay.
So if you
Why
think
not?
back on
Hell.
when he taught the Gracies, he wasn't just teaching them regular judo. He was teaching them because by then he had traveled the world and learned all this shit. He was
Yeah.
teaching them basically a hybrid of judo and catch wrestling.
So he was pretty much teaching them MMA, mixed martial arts.
Yep, judo and
True.
catch wrestling, they
Yep.
fused together and it became Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Wow. Yeah. See, I'd never heard of that guy before up until now.
Yep, Mitsuyo Maeda. He's considered the actual father of Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Well, that's all fine and dandy, but still the pro wrestling side of it, though. I mean, of course, at that time, pro wrestling was more legitimate than it even is nowadays. Obviously.
Well, pro wrestling at that time, well, pro wrestling was around even longer than that. Pro wrestling itself was around, I looked it up, it was like 1830s, they believe. The
Yeah, but you
actual
got to.
carnival wrestling.
Yeah, and it was always
So
they were
this is what it looked
those
like
guys
back in
were
the day.
legit.
Yeah.
If that dude got beat, the one that was on the carny, if he got beat by a local, his career was over.
Well, the original idea of a work or like the
Hmm.
work matches for people who don't fully understand, like they would have like these traveling shows, right? These carnival shows,
Yep.
but it was basically just a wrestling league because that
Let
was
me
the
guess.
most popular shit.
And they'd put
Like
somebody
no
out
one,
in a plant out in the crowd that they'd bring up too.
they would have these wrestling matches against these athletes who are traveling together and they're wrestling
Hmm.
on like on a nightly basis. So obviously they're trying to play the crowd. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get people to like put money down to come out of the crowd to challenge them to a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And then they would turn it on and they would whoop their asses.
Oh yeah. Because
And then that's how they would win money. That's how pro wrestling started. It
yeah.
was
Because
meant to get people in
but
there. No, go
Eh,
ahead.
eh, no, I was saying that there was legit talk at one time, and I remember this a couple of shows back in the '70s. And we're talking about they were setting the old westerns, and a lot of the old western shows actually
Mhm.
talked about the carnivals coming through, and the guy that was wrestling or whatever, a bear or whatever the case might be, or they do the wrestling thing, and some big lumbersome cowboy or whatever they I can get in there with him or whatever, and he's sitting there watching and seeing the guy. He's actually, kind of falling off or whatever, but he's doing the sell job, is what he's doing.
Mhm.
He's like, I'll go in and I can take him. And then they get in there and realize real quick that this guy, once he grabbed hold of you, it's over, dude. He's about to turn you into
Oh,
press.
uncivil engineer. So they would have like those big guys to put on shows, but you have to keep
Hmm.
in mind if the big guys were challenging people in the crowd would not step up
Mm-mm.
because they'd be
They
like,
want a
"The
little
hell
guy.
no." Yeah.
They want
Would
that
you
little
step up
guy.
to Andre the Giant if he tried to wrestle you for real?
You didn't.
Hell no.
Nobody stepped. Even in Andre the Giant's
Hell
later
no.
days, nobody stepped up to him because, quite
Nobody
frankly, if
messed with
Andre didn't
yeah,
want you to
hell
do something,
no.
you didn't do it.
Yeah.
I was
Fuck
watching.
no.
Come to think of it, Seth Rollins just did an interview on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp. I've been
Mhm.
watching a little bit of some of the excerpts of it, and he's talking about Big Show at the same time, like he's talking about Andre and some of the bigger wrestlers. He's like, y'all don't get it. These guys will, if they don't want you to do it, you're not going to do it. You physically can't. They're going to make sure that you look good, but if you piss them off Because he said Ric Flair had done it before too, and Ric Flair, Shannon Sharp said Ric Flair said if freaking Andre looked at you and he was having a bad day, you might as well chalk it up because you're not going to get anything over with him.
Hmm.
I mean, 'cause he was a lot more he was a lot stronger than people gave him credit for, and when he didn't want to do something, you just weren't going to make him. It just wasn't going to happen. So, but yeah, it's the same thing with Mark Henry. Look at the strength of Mark Henry. I mean, honestly, if you didn't legitimately fear that strength, of course, he's big as hand, easily could be the most gentle guy you could ever work with too. But don't want to piss him off. I really don't want to piss him off. What was that? That think back to Bruce Lee. What was that?
Oh, I kind of think back to Bruce Lee's thoughts on things concerning these types of things. Do you think Bruce Lee could have taken on Hoist Gracie, Randy?
It would have been a no brainer. I don't think now Hoist. Here's the thing. I know Bruce Lee did some fighting, but Bruce Lee was a martial artist, is what he was. And I remember watching an interview with Chuck Norris about it because Bruce Lee did some fighting, but he wasn't a fighter per se. He was a martial artist. Whereas Chuck Norris was a world champion in karate. Okay, he was literally the legitimate world champion. He wanted to. He said the first movie he ever did was with Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee said he had to get in there and he had to beat him. And he's like, "Why?" He says, "I want everybody to know I kicked the shit out of the world champion of karate." He spelled him out right. This is what it's got to look like. So, okay, cool. Well, they were talking. Then they start talking more about uh, the differences. And Michael J. White's another one. He was a fighter and an actual martial arts fighter. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Whereas Jean Claude Van Damme, a lot of people don't realize he was an actual martial arts fighter. He's
Yeah,
him and
yeah, he had some kickboxing fights under his belt,
yeah,
and he did
and
well
freaking
too. He did
and
well.
him and Chuck Norris in a couple of movies and stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
They actually sparred together a few times just so they could work out. They wanted to work out together, so they worked out together. And then they started talking about Seagal. Like they all just laugh because he's just not there. He's not. It's all about show to that guy. So, but once again, Michael J. White said it best. You got martial artists, and then you've got fighters. There's a big difference in the two. What was that one
He's
that
the
Sybil says there?
legendary
Yeah.
said. For sure, Bruce Lee would probably have told anyone that he could be beaten, yet he would tell you he could beat anyone as
Oh
well.
yeah, no doubt. And none of the guys doubted him either, though. That's the thing. Bruce Lee carried a backup to it because he had done some fights.
It would depend on the power of the individual. Okay,
Exactly.
as a martial arts nerd and as okay, can I give you my analysis of Bruce Lee and Hoist
Yeah.
Gracie?
Good.
If you took Bruce Lee in his prime and took him in a time machine and put him in UFC one, Bruce Lee's tapping out the Hoist for
Oh,
sure, for
probably.
sure, for sure.
Especially if he gets caught. If he gets caught,
If he gets no, he's going to get caught
sooner or later.
for sure.
But
Yeah.
I'm just going to say if he gets caught.
Now, that being said, the only reason why I say that is because nobody had seen anything in like Brazilian jiu-jitsu
No, not
at
at
the
that time.
time. Like
Nope.
those fighters, they didn't know what the hell to do.
Mm-mm.
As soon as he got him on the ground, people were like confused. Like they never,
Don't know what to do now. Yeah.
they don't know what to do. But then after a few years, so some fighters start learning grappling and they start catching on, right?
Hmm.
So if if you took Bruce Lee, right, and rather than that scenario, let's say like while he was learning all the martial arts, you told him about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then he trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from that point on, yeah, I think he would have been and he would have been obsessed with it.
I think that he was too fast for Hoist at that point. If you'd have him, like you're saying, if you'd have trained
Yeah.
him and gave him some knowledge of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu early on, I think he's too fast for Hoist. And quite frankly, for such a
I don't
small
know.
guy, Bruce Lee
Actually,
was a
no.
son of a bitch.
Okay, here's the other thing. Number one, boxing footwork doesn't really work against grappling at all, right?
Yeah, I understand that. But once
Now,
again,
the
we're
thing
talking
here's the other
about
thing,
him.
Bruce Lee also adopted and I read his Tao Jeet Kune Do, so I kinda read, like, his martial arts philosophy, like, technical martial arts
Okay.
philosophy. He comes from a Wing Chun background.
Yeah.
I don't know what you so Wing Chun is very much, standing in front of your opponent and parrying and, like, low
Yep.
shots,
Yep.
but yeah, if
And counter strikes.
right, like, that kind of footwork does you're gonna get double legged.
Oh yeah, in a
You're
heartbeat.
getting double legged.
But
Yeah,
I don't think here's the thing I understand his background and such,
yeah.
but not many people could adapt to stuff like Bruce Lee could. You know what I'm saying?
That's why that's the key word you said there, adapt. That's why, like, if it was like a UFC 1 situation where he had never seen Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Yeah.
and then you
It's
just
going
put him out there against Royce,
yeah,
he's tapping, but
yeah,
if you gave him time to cook with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and, like, learn it,
exactly.
he's unstoppable. He's
I think he's too
unstoppable.
he's like I was saying, put his speed that he had originally in his background with
Yeah.
the Brazilian jiu-jitsu knowledge, and I don't think Hoist may get hold of him, but I think he's as quick to choke Hoist as fast as Hoist is to choke him. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What if
Uncivil,
okay, how about this?
uncivil is right. The center line, the concentration of the center. That's what
Yeah,
he was all about.
which is a very bad idea if you have a guy trying to double leg you.
Exactly. It's kind of hard then.
Yeah. Yeah, center line works if it's just punching and kicking, like, a lot of and he actually admitted, like, Wing Chun, like, he abandoned Wing Chun because there was,
Yeah.
too much, like, inefficiencies.
Hmm.
Like, he writes about that a lot. But so
Yeah.
he tries to, like, incorporate more, like, boxing footwork, but again,
Yeah.
boxing footwork doesn't
Well, I think he did that to kind of add a little misdirection in his footwork, is what he tried to do, I think.
the only type of footwork that negates Brazilian jiu-jitsu is, like, wrestling footwork. Like, people who are
Exactly.
really good at sprawling,
Exactly.
and, they
Be able
don't
to.
those martial arts, they don't even prepare you for that.
Mm. So, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I think if he had time to work with it,
Mhm,
yeah, no, I think he would have probably, it'd have been a tight fight. Let's put it that way. It'd been tighter than say, Bruce Lee just as the karate guru going in there.
mhm.
I don't, I don't think he could actually keep him up because there were too many karate people that couldn't keep the grapplers when they get hold of you. Karate is negated. Period.
Because you asked, do you think if Brandon Lee had lived, he would have taken over the schools that Bruce had? No.
No,
I don't
nope,
think Brandon Lee was a fraction of the martial artist his dad
no.
was. Brandon Lee was taught by Bruce Lee's student. Like, he was taught by Dan Inosanto,
Yeah, because he
which
was
is
just
one of
what
Bruce Lee's
five,
students.
6 years old.
But Brandon Lee did not he had other shit going on in his life because,
Yeah,
he was well off, he was well known, he was
hmm
pursuing an acting career. He's not
and
gonna
he's
be
pretty
like Bruce
good at it
Lee,
actually.
like 20 hours a day fucking learning martial arts and
Yeah.
traveling the world, pick up techniques. No. He's
Working on
gonna learn it
choreography.
yeah, but he's not gonna be like a world-class martial artist who would beat the shit out
Mhm.
of anyone. No.
No, and
But
there was such a
he was a great actor, though.
yes, he was on his way to being a really good
He
actor,
was
honestly.
on his way to being the number 1 dude. Yo, if Brandon Lee had lived, I'll say this, okay? If Brandon Lee had lived, I can guarantee you, Randy,
Mhm.
Keanu Reeves would not have a career.
Yeah, because he probably would have been the one
He
in
would
the
have taken
Matrix.
all of Keanu Reeves' roles, I'm telling you. He would
Yeah,
have been Neo in The Matrix.
probably.
He would have
Which
been
kind of
John Wick when he got older.
when you watch the Matrix, you remember the movie The One with Jet Li?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get that movie from the get. I barely watched at it because I was sitting there thinking because it came out right after the Matrix, and we talk about Neo being the one, and I'm like sitting there going,
Mhm.
this is are they parrying off of this? What are they doing with this one? I don't get what they're trying to do. So I never really watched it. I didn't get interested. I should have sat down and watched it more. But the more I kept looking, I was like, they're trying to make Jet Li be the Keanu Reeves character, and I'm like, no, that's not really what they're doing. But that's what the vibes they give off in all their marketing and stuff. And I'm like, it don't work like that. I still to this day I haven't watched the movie all the way through, so I don't even know what they were really doing with it. But Jet Li is one of those the same way martial artist that has the fighting background. So it's just cool listening to Michael J. White talk about him, because people. a lot of those guys when they do movies
Well, Jet Li
together.
doesn't have a fighting background. He has a martial arts background.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's done actual karate tournaments before is what I mean. He's
No, he
done that.
hasn't. Jet Li? No, he hasn't.
According to what Michael J. White said, he'd actually done
No,
it before.
I listened to that interview. No, but he talked about he was like national champion in wushu. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. The
well,
thing is,
yep.
wushu is done completely differently.
Well, either way,
Yeah,
I'm
they
just
don't have
saying.
wushu doesn't have sparring or anything like that.
But when you
Wushu is
got
all about
guys
like like those routines, like those gymnastic routines.
kata, like kata.
Yeah, that's what wushu competitions are. He was the national champion in that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't the one going to challenge him to start with on any of it. But
No,
um, I mean, listen, the reason I like Michael J. White is because I know he's his background, and stuff. And he talks about all these guys except for Seagal. Obviously, everybody except because Seagal actually hurt DMX in when they did exit wounds. Seagal was supposed to get it around his back, and he's supposed to do just put him in cuffs, or whatever. And he ended up getting DMX behind and lifting up and separating his shoulder on one freaking fail swoop. And we're like, that's sloppy. That's fucking sloppy. You're out there to hurt somebody just so you can't because you can't. That's bullshit. You're a thug and a fucking punk. But I'm just like
can I tell you?
I would have loved to see Michael J. White take that motherfucker out. That's what I want. That's what I would love to see.
Can I tell you, Randy, about a recent martial arts topic that I've been really fascinated with?
What's that?
So, a martial arts topic that not many people think about, right?
Mm.
So, you've got all these different martial arts from around the world, right? You've got like Southeast Asian martial arts with like Muay Thai
Hi,
and
Rob.
a lot, right?
Hmm.
You've got Israeli Krav Maga. Japan's got a whole
Yeah.
bunch like karate, jujitsu, judo. Korea's got
Yep.
taekwondo,
Yep.
right? You've got all these famous martial arts. China obviously got all of the different forms of kung fu.
Hmm.
But if you think about Europe, they had a bunch of martial arts too. The problem is they're all lost to history.
Really? I never even thought
Yeah,
about that. I imagine they
there
had
are
some sort of art.
just as there were as many martial arts and each country had their martial arts, Europe was the exact same way.
Okay.
They each had their own martial arts, but and they would have like schools, competitions, they had training manuals, all fucking lost to history. We're just piecing it together now.
Yeah.
Catch
Yeah.
wrestling, catch as catch can was one of them. But I
Okay.
think the reason why all those European martial arts were lost is because their militaries developed very differently, you see.
Yeah. It could
Because
be.
they figured very early on plate mail armor.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about fighting in plate mail armor, you don't want to punch and kick a guy who's wearing a metal helmet.
Hell no. You want to hit him with a sword?
Right. But the problem is, if you're wearing plate mail armor, is the sword going to do anything for you?
It'll ring their bell. That's about it.
Yeah, you're just whacking them with an iron stick.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell
Um.
you're gonna There's no way in hell you're gonna slash through metal plate armor.
No.
I fucking hate that. You ever notice that, Randy, in like
Oh
those
yeah. In his
ancient
movies.
battle movies? Like
Yeah.
even in Game of Thrones, when Jon Snow's fighting those like he's in a battle, right? Some dude runs up on him and he's got a metal breastplate on with chainmail underneath. And what does Jon Snow do to kill the guy? He slashes him across the chest and the guy falls over
Yeah.
dead. And I'm
Yeah.
like, does nobody
It's not
notice
even
the
close
fact
to
that
being
if you're
realistic.
wearing metal, like you can't slash a guy, you're like immune to that
Yeah. Only
completely?
thing you could do is go right to the neck and take the head off.
Yeah. It's just
That's
so
that's
ridiculous, man. Like they expect us to not understand how armor works, you know?
and like I said, that's all choreography, and they want to put on a show because the same thing with Outlander when they were showing those. But the thing is, with Outlander, a lot of their stuff was just chainmail, or they were in just regular clothing. You know what I mean? They were in
Yeah.
their actual cloth. Which, okay, that situation, yeah, you're gonna slice the guy. You may not kill him, but you're gonna slice him. You know what I mean? Um,
So
but yeah, I'm with
they
you. I mean,
actually
there's so many of them like that. Honestly,
they actually did uncover not too long ago a few manuals, like training manuals as to like how to like British martial arts or European martial arts.
okay.
This is what it looks like.
kind of like hand to hand.
Think about it, okay? You're a couple of knights, and let's say like you fight each other with swords, but you're covered head to toe in
Hmm.
metal, right? You mentioned earlier you just whack each other with sticks, but nobody's getting cut because look at them, right?
Yeah,
So eventually, what does it boil down to? You start grappling with each other, and you're trying to. This is how they say you're supposed to fight a guy in full armor. You're supposed to wrestle his ass down, and you're supposed to stick a knife underneath his helmet.
yeah, and killing
Yeah,
just
this
like
is
that
how they
right there.
train people. Yeah,
It's the same thing
and
when
then
in the old
sword combat would
when
be
Kung
like this too.
yeah.
They would So for people who are not familiar with sword fighting or like English long swords, a lot of
Yep.
like knights back then, they would actually grab the blades in the middle like that. It's
Hmm.
called half swording.
Yep.
And you can do that because you're wearing gauntlets. Because again, for people who don't know, if you're covered head to toe in metal, you're pretty much immune to being cut or
Yeah.
slashed, right? And they
In
would
that
just
situation,
aim
you
for
got to
those.
go to a joint too. You could go to a
Yeah, you
joint
got to
on those
just
to get.
aim for the spots where there's like you got to go underneath the armor.
Yep.
That's how you do
And
it.
and they teach this kind of stuff when you're learning in what's called the SCA. Uh,
Yeah.
and in SCA they teach you the nuances of broadsword fighting. But it's once again it's that flare style. You know what I mean? The ones you see in the movies. It's not what actually happens in an actual medieval fight. You know what I mean? It's good for the looks and it's good for
Most
the
medieval
show,
fights
but
look
that's
like
it.
this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Most of them look like this.
yeah, yeah.
Most
There
of them
wasn't a
look like
whole lot of that glamorous freaking broadsword
they
fight you see in
slash
the
the
shows.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it ain't like that at all.
Well,
And
that's
like,
why they developed all those maces, and morning stars and flails. Because after a while, people got start, people realized that fighting with swords was pointless. They got really tired of grappling with each other
yeah, now
because that's how
uncivil,
you hit someone with. Yeah, you got to hit him with a mace.
yeah, uncivil over there talks about Bill Superfoot Wallace, in kickboxing days of Chuck Norris and
Yeah.
stuff. If you talk kickboxing, I'm sorry, there's one name that goes out there above almost all of them. If you want to get right down to it, to me, and that's Dennis Terminator Alexio. I mean, you talk about one guy that takes it's one kick essentially that breaks his leg, and that ends his career for the most part. He never was able to come back from it properly. But in his heyday, there wasn't a fool that could touch Dennis Terminator Alexio. Okay, Alexio was a beast. In fact, he was in the original Kickboxer. You know, he played his older brother, played Van Damme's older brother, and he was just that damn good though. He really was. I used to love watching him fight. And kickboxing is kickboxing. It's not karate. It's not. It's true boxing with the kicks thrown in for the most part. Dude, that dude had a fast foot. He had a damn spin kick that was unreal, and his front kicks were great. He always planted them right in the solar plexus. So anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked on that one. But yeah, you're right as far as those medieval ones. The it's all drama in the movies. It ain't nothing like that. Then again, warfare is never what it is in the movies either. So
You want an interesting little tidbit of history, though, Randy?
what's that?
I kind of put two and two together.
What's that?
Catch wrestling comes from Lancashire wrestling. It's English folk
Really?
wrestling. That's where catch wrestling comes from, right?
Okay.
We were talking about catch wrestling earlier.
All right.
You know when that they generally accept historically that came about?
What's that?
The 1300s.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, hell, they take freaking Greco-Roman all the way back to the Roman days, the Roman Empire, and
Now,
it's basically just above body stuff. They never touched. They never went for the legs, but still, I
now,
mean,
but think
what's
about it,
the
Randy.
what's the
Think about
Mongolian
this.
wrestling?
Think about this though. 1300s catch wrestling comes about, right? You know what else comes about in the 1300s, Randy?
Mm,
Fucking play mail.
yeah, makes sense, doesn't it?
Doesn't it make sense now when you think about it?
Yeah,
plate mail becomes a thing, so they realize, "Oh, shit, we can't use swords on each other. We're gonna
We gotta
fight each other,
wrestle
we
each
gotta
other
wrestle
down.
each other down, and you gotta sneak a dagger in there."
Well, yeah, but think about it also, you got all that crap on you. You aren't moving very easily either. That
Mhm.
grappling is gonna be a nightmare.
And that's what catch wrestling comes about as a result of that, is the
Yep.
need to train each other because they realize, yeah, that's kind of important to know,
Mhm.
because otherwise you die. Now here's the other thing, okay? Think about the Asian version, all right, Randy? So, jujitsu, judo, right? They're all like joint manipulations and throws,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Same thing, right? They're just
Leverages.
grappling.
Leverages.
Now,
Yeah.
aikido, even with like aikido, okay? Um, I was listening to an interview actually about someone who like because there are people who do aikido. It's an actual martial art,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
right?
Yeah.
So I was listening to this one interview with like someone who actually does aikido seriously, who was asking about like, yeah, these moves are kind of ridiculous or whatever, blah blah blah. Steven Seagal, they're just running at each other. And the guy basically his point was that aikido was basically started by a guy who was very deep into being a samurai. And the idea of being of fighting as a samurai is you're covered head to toe in armor, you've got katanas, but they're not doing anything. People are, like, running up against each other. So what do you wanna do? You wanna be the one who trips the other guy down
Gotcha.
because in hand-to-hand armor and blade combat, you do not wanna go to the ground. If you fall down,
No.
you're dead.
Yeah, you're done.
If you fall down and the other guy's standing up, you're dead, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's where jujitsu came about. So that's same idea, right? That's how judo and jujitsu and aikido all came about. Is because they realized, hey, if we're all wearing armor and these swords aren't doing anything,
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day, you just gotta wrestle the guy down and just try to sneak in a
Well, yeah, but that's once again, we're talking about
yeah,
warfare, real warfare. You it
a
doesn't
very
matter how
similar
it
form of
happens.
warfare. Yeah.
Your job is to kill the enemy. Period. That is it.
And in both situations, punching and kicking don't really do amount to much because
No, it ain't gonna do you any good in that
armor. Yeah,
situation.
yeah, gonna do you no good.
Uh, you got to get a knife in there in one of them folds somewhere.
Mhm.
So yeah, I get you on that one.
So what do you think
Uh,
about my theory about, like, wrestling and grappling and where pro wrestling comes I mean, if you think about it from the Maeda point of view, pro wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu are like cousins.
yeah. Well, my biggest issue is obviously pro wrestling evolved in a totally different way than what Brazilian Jiu Jitsu did.
Totally different.
And you're talking,
But they
they
have
could have all had
lineages.
that
Yeah.
common ancestry. You know what I mean? It's got
I
that
think it's
common,
because they have that common ancestor, man.
yeah. And when they
Yeah.
evolved after Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was brought this way, but like you said, he'd go to the states and do the pro wrestling thing, which at that time, but pro wrestling at the time you're talking about with him in the 1800s, they legitimately wrestled professionally. You know what I mean? They were
Yeah.
really wrestling still. But that
And
tells
now
me
we're now pro wrestling is this.
and there's sometimes you get those guys, what was the one that Killer Cross was part of? Was it Bloodsport or something like that?
No, this is
That
blood sport. This is
okay,
blood
well,
sport.
yeah, then that means that that's the same one that Killer Cross was involved with in during WrestleMania weekend a
Yeah,
year or two ago,
yeah. I
and he
believe it
ended up
was.
and that I know they quote unquote have a outcome already done or whatever. But watching them do it makes you go, "Damn, is he really hitting him? Damn, is he really doing this to him? Is he really doing
Yeah.
that?" Because they make it look more real than any of the others, and they might be a little bit real. I mean, but they're not trying to really hurt each other. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't take much for somebody to really get hurt in that one. I just thought I love the way they were doing it when he was
Yeah.
showing it on his little documentary thing.
They were
And I was like,
trying
"That's
I think they're trying
cool."
to do like a worked MMA match.
That's exactly what it was to me. But it still looked more realistic than any pro wrestling match I've ever seen. I mean, and I've seen, the ones where Vader actually hit
But you remember
Cactus
when
Jack.
WWE tried it with like WWE Underground?
That was a joke. I don't know who fuck came up with that. That wasn't even close.
That
They
was
were
Shane
so
McMahon's
fake.
brainchild, man. That was
That was
Shane
so
O'Mac.
fake. It was not even funny. I mean,
Yeah, that
it
was
was
Shane
so
O'Mac.
stupid.
Yeah.
Brawl for all, Brawl for all was more believable than that. Okay,
Well, Brawl
because
for All was that the problem with Brawl for All was that it was actually real and it actually really
yeah,
ruined
and
some people's careers.
they really wanted one of their
Yeah,
handpicked guys to be the winner. And when he got his ass
yeah.
knocked the fuck out, oh shit! Now
It
what do
ended
we
his
do?
career, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, quite frankly,
It was a really stupid idea. It
JBL
was a
damn near
really
lost his
stupid
career over it.
idea.
Dr. Death Steve Williams was never looked at the same again. Bart Gunn, who knocked them out and then went on to face Butterbean, who was a legit professional fighter.
Oh, he got I saw that fight. He got
That was
fucked
ugly.
up. He
Butterbean
got
beat the
fucked
ever loving
up.
living shit out of him because instead of doing brawl for all, he tried to go out there and be a boxer with a pro boxer. Sorry, guys, it don't work. You have no training. You cannot hang with him. Period. Done. End of story. That's
Did
like
you
saying,
see
oh,
the have you seen the clip of I'm sure you're aware of this, Alberto Del Rio
doing what this time?
getting legitimately his head kicked off by Crow Cop.
That yeah, well, he got in the wrong spot. You got in with a real fighter, dude. You don't do that shit.
Did
I
you
heard
see
about
it?
that
Did you
crap.
see that fight?
I didn't see the fight, but I heard about it.
Oh, hold on.
Like I said,
Let me show you the I think I could show you the clip, right?
I have no earthly idea.
Uh,
What was it? Part of Pride?
It was Pride.
Let's see. Alberto Del Rio had no business being in there at all. I don't care how good he thinks he was. CM Punk tried to be an MMA guy. Look what the fuck happened to him. Okay, the only one I saw outside of Brock Lesnar to make that transition, and he just didn't catch on. Was that Jake Hager? Was Jack Swagger or whatever he was? He could have legitimately done because he had that wrestling background.
Okay, I think I can only show you a couple seconds of this because otherwise
Okay,
YouTube will shut me the fuck up. Hold on.
about to say who's Baron Corbin, whatever that is.
This is the actual moment. That's Alberto Del Rio in a mask. He was
Is
going
it?
under the name Dos Caras Jr., but that's Alberto Del Rio. And he's actually in there with fucking Crow Cop. Now watch what happens. You
What
ready?
the fuck kind of insane bullshit is that?
Are you ready?
Yeah,
For no money, but but that's a different story.
Mike D from Boston. Del Rio, I have a tough question for you, so
he
get
missed him.
ready. Are you ready? Okay. I was wondering.
Wait, he missed him.
I've watched that kick from multiple angles. It's not that he missed him. If you watch from the other side, it's like he gets him like but with the back of his heel.
Okay,
But it looks like from that angle like he missed him, but it basically his heel hit
his
his
heel caught the
temple.
backside of his head.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Did it
knocked
get him
his
in
ass
the temple
the fuck
area?
out.
Did he get temple area a little
Yeah.
bit more? Okay,
And I
well
watched
that
the
makes sense.
aftermath, like, it took them a while to get him out.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to
Yeah,
look at
no,
that one then.
he was knocked the fuck out.
And so he did the Dos Caras Junior's freaking persona in CMLL, I think, at one point too.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
but
mean,
yeah, he got his head kicked off by Crow Cop, man.
well, number one, he should have never been in the damn ring with him.
Mm. By the way, Crow Cop, that's another motherfucker that if you put him in there with Bruce Lee, he would have fucked Bruce Lee up.
Yeah, well, like I
Yeah,
said,
Crow
you talk
Cop
about
is another beast altogether.
yeah, yeah.
That
I
guy
tend
was
to
a
agree with you a lot on that
monster.
because Krokop was a
Oh my
still is
god.
a beast, really.
Crow Cop in his prime was a fucking
Hmm.
that dude was like a
I said the same
Tyrannosaurus,
thing
man.
about Fedor, though. I said the same thing about Fedor. When he was in his prime.
Or fucking Vanderlei Silva. I'm
Another
sure
one,
you've seen his
same
matches.
thing. Oh
God
yeah,
damn,
many
that
times.
that motherfucker was vicious, man.
Yep.
Fucking vicious.
So
He had the most viciously awkward knockouts. Like, if you see some of his did you see the one where he straight up stomped the dude's head, like, over and over?
mm-mm, I didn't see
Oh
that one.
my god. Oh my god. I can't even show it, but look up Randy, when you get the chance, look up Vanderlei Silva, Yuki, Yuki Kondo,
Okay.
Kondo. He
Okay.
stomped the shit out of that motherfucker.
I see
God damn.
that's one of those things that and he was he fighting for pride at that time?
Mm.
Yeah.
That was in
It,
Pride, and all of Japan was watching.
pride
Everyone in Japan was
was
watching.
a little bit more lenient when it came to stopping fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They let stuff go on a little bit longer what UFC did because of course Dana White up there worried about getting all kinds of damn lawsuits right off the bat. Somebody gets
Mhm.
hit funny and they're stopping a fight for the most part. But pride, I remember when Kimbo Slice was fighting for pride too. And everybody's like, "Oh, Kimbo Slice this, Kimbo Slice."
The other
Kimbo
thing
Slice was
about
nothing but a
Pride
thug. That's all he was a
the other
thug.
thing the other thing about Pride that people don't realize is they didn't give a fuck about steroid testing
No,
at all.
not one damn bit.
Take as
Not
many
one
steroids
bit.
as you please. They would actually offer to give you steroids. Everyone was so
Yeah.
juiced up.
Yep.
And you know what? I love it for it. I love it for it. Just juice them up.
Yeah.
If they're
Let
okay with it, why not?
them do it. Let them do it. That's I
They
watched a
all
video.
understand the risks.
Yeah, I watched a video the other day because, like I said, I'm a Michael J. White fan. Like crazy. And they were actually showing one of the prison movies he was in with Kimbo Slice, and he was working with Kimbo Slice, and they were talking about. He's showing him. He said, "Talk about the jab." He said, "Okay, watch my jab." He says, "Watch how fast it goes," and he said, "I'm gonna hit you, you know, with three jabs. Pay attention to him, stuff like that." So he does the slap. He said, "Move you, put your hand up here, move your hand away," and he go to hit once, go to hit twice, and of course Slice moves his hand away both times. And he says now, and the last time he slows it down to about half speed of what he did, and Slice went to move it, stopped it from moving, and he still hit it. And he's like, that's what he said. He's using your brain against you because he got you go so psyched out for the speed. When he slowed it down, you didn't know what to do. Smart fighter, smart fighter. So yeah, I've watched a lot of Bob Sapp fights too. Now that I think about it, keep coming up. I'm like, this is the
Dude
biggest
was
lumbering fool I've ever seen in
that
my life.
dude was on all the roids.
Yes,
That guy was on all the roids. He wasn't even
monster.
trying to hide it.
He was a freaking monster. I'm like,
He was
if
that guy
anybody
was a
fighting him,
walking billboard for steroids.
and if he'd have hit somebody, he'd have killed them just from hitting them.
I
But
mean,
he rarely ever made contact. It looked like to
I
me.
mean, you know what? Fuck this. For people who've never seen Bob Sapp, I think I need to put up a picture. Fuck
Yeah,
this.
well, he was Slutowski in The Longest Yard. I tell you what, though, he's a comedic genius when they put him in the comedy movies with people. The dude is freaking hilarious.
Oh, he's got a lot of charisma. Did you see his stuff in those Japanese TV commercials?
Yes, yes. The ones that are floating around here
Yeah,
on
he's
YouTube.
great
Yep.
in those commercials, man. The
Yeah,
guy's basically human Donkey Kong. I
pretty
mean,
much. Pretty much. Honestly, you think about it.
yeah, seriously.
Okay, uncivil
Call it what
engineer.
it
Okay,
is.
Julio Cesar Chavez. I'm with you. The old man was one of my favorite fighters of all time because I watched that fight with him and Meldrick Taylor. And Meldrick Taylor beat his ass for 14 and a half rounds, or maybe it was 11 and a half in his 12th round. They got knocked out. Either way, 2 seconds left in that sucker, and that he gets knocks out Meldrick Taylor, and the damn ref steps in, looks at him, calls it with 2 seconds left in the last round. And I'm like, because the bell saves the fighter in the last round. And I was like, how in the hell did they pull that off? And then you remember that Prince Nassim or whatever it was out of the
Yeah,
UK at one time, dancing
I
around doing all
remember.
that funny stuff. Hector Macho Camacho was the same way.
Mhm.
Camacho fought Chavez. Chavez beat that boy for 15 freaking rounds or 12 rounds, whatever it ended up being. I remember watching that in '93, and I'm like, damn, he just cut the ring off this guy and just commenced to beating on him. And I'm like, that made me love Chavez because like he just literally shut down the showboat and beat his ass.
I remember that fight.
I loved it. I loved
Man,
every second of it.
he ended that dude's career, man.
Yeah,
Really did.
Camacho
Because I remember that.
could never do anything again. He literally could not do nothing ever again because everybody knew how to beat him then. That Prince
Yeah, that
Nassim
dude
did the
fell off
same shit,
hard.
and I can't remember who it was that beat his ass.
Yeah, this is taking a lot of effort for me to load just this one picture. Yeah, that took a lot of effort.
That doesn't surprise me. A lot of
It
stuff is
was
hard to do now.
it's weird because certain photos on the internet or like on Google, they don't pull as easily on an iPhone for some reason.
No,
But
no.
yeah,
Yeah, Bob
don't
Sapp
tell
right
me this
there.
dude wasn't on roids. Don't tell
Telling
me
you
this dude was on roids.
that
Yeah,
he had to have been. He had to have been.
he was
But
obviously on roids.
but again, I don't think I know he made his name in fighting or whatever, but he
Yeah.
was never that good of a fighter. First of all, he's a much better actor. And
Hmm.
there's a Rob Schneider movie out there called Big Stan. I don't know if you ever seen it.
The thing about Bob Sapp was that he did get some early like legitimate wins against like really good fighters
Yeah.
because he basically King Hippoed them. He
Hmm.
fucking
Beat the shit out of him
charged
until he
them.
couldn't. Yeah. Bull rushed him.
Yeah, but he took some pretty epic losses too, very epic
Well, yeah,
losses.
you fight like that, you're gonna get caught, and there ain't much you can do about it.
Crow Cop, as a matter of fact,
Took out that
that's the guy who wrecked his win streak was Crow Cop.
Crow Crop was on a different level though. Honest.
Crow Cop fucking broke his orbital bone with one punch.
Yeah, you
Ever
might
see
want to
that
stick.
fight? He
No, I
just
never
punched.
saw it.
He just gave him what he gave him a straight right cross just to the eye, and then Bob Sapp screams in pain and just like falls over.
Well, yeah, he knew someone was gone. He
Yeah,
wanted to knock his eye
yeah,
out.
yeah. He like broke his orbital bone. Apparently that hurts a lot.
Yeah, and you say that, talk about breaking that oral and hitting him right there, and I immediately think back to that. Uh, I think it was All Japan when freaking Stan Hansen hit Vader so hard and knocked his eye completely out of socket.
Yeah,
And I saw that
right.
on it's out on YouTube too. You can see Vader trying to get it back in. You know what I mean? Not knowing what to do.
Hey Randy, have you been following AEW? I've been hearing some buzz lately that as WWE gets worse, AEW is getting better.
It's
Are
not too
you?
bad. I've watched a little
Yeah,
bit of it here and there, but like I
you've
say,
been
I don't
catching up
sit down
on
and
it.
watch the shows. I don't want to
I'm
sit
gonna
down and
have to
watch the
start
shows.
catching up if they start getting better, man. I'm gonna have to start watching
They're,
their shit.
I think they're writing a little bit better. I mean, it's not as over the top as what it
Yeah.
was. I think they've gone
Oh,
back.
Uncivil Engineer. Let's not. I'm very sad to talk about BJ Penn. I loved him. I do love him. I was a huge diehard fan for him when he
Mhm.
was in his prime.
I used to
And
play him.
what's been going on with him lately does extremely bum me the fuck out. That's for sure.
I don't even know what's going on with him. All I know is I used to use him whenever I'd
That's
play the
not
UFC
great.
fighting games.
But I love that guy.
But
Although I would say he was a bit overrated in the long run. Like GSP just
maybe
had his GSP just was.
he was on another one that was on a different level. I mean, I
Yeah, that
sat
guy was.
there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember now. It wasn't Conor McGregor, but back in 2010 ish or so, GSP was in doing one of the UFC shows in Abu Dhabi, I think is where it was, because we were over in Iraq, so we were able to watch it in real time for the most part. And he was fighting this dude. It was an Irish guy, but he had red hair, but it wasn't Conor McGregor. Only reason I know that because this guy was kind of lanky. All right, and I never can remember the guy's name. And usually GSP when he put him in that daggum, I say Kimura for armbar, whatever you want to call the damn thing, he used a lot. He put him in, and this dude, you could see he almost pulled his shoulder out of socket to rotate out of it, and then popped it back into socket. And I can't remember which UFC it was. It was I know Anderson Silva was on it against somebody laid on his back the entire fucking time. I can't remember which one that was either. No, it was might have been no, it wasn't one of the Gracies. It was somebody else. But either way, that was bad. But GSP's match was good. I thought he was going to really handle this guy at first, and then this kid just kept fighting back against GSP, which was freaking amazing. George St. Pierre doesn't get a whole lot of credit for being able to go distance because he can take care of people relatively quick.
But the thing is, GSP, they had the rematch with BJ Penn. You saw the rematch, right?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, he steamrolled him in the second time around.
BJ
Steamrolled
Penn
him.
did.
Yeah, no, GSP did.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is that when I was watching, it was some
That,
Irish
in my
guy.
opinion, is because GSP is more disciplined as a fighter, where BJ Penn kind of
Yeah,
like he kind of got got involved in other stuff. Let's just say.
yeah, big time.
So yeah.
But
Anyway,
yeah,
I think it's time for us to call it a night because I want to
damn,
play
we've been
some
on here
video
an
games.
hour
I
and
don't know.
10. We really
Yeah.
didn't even get into full blown wrestling at all.
No.
You just
But yeah,
took this show where the fuck you wanted to go with it, didn't you?
I certainly did because this show is called Donnie Cho Says So.
And I just sat back and listened and
Yep.
bitched and whined. But that's usual. I'm used to it.
What are you gonna do with the rest of your night, Randy? Share with the folks at
Sleep.
home.
I'm
You
gonna go
going
take
straight
some
to bed?
aspirin. I'm going to sleep.
Oh man.
I've been drinking the majority of the day. So let's put it that way.
Yeah, true that. Time to go to bed, man.
I'm gonna go to bed. I'm
But
hoping
thank
I'm gonna
you.
be able to actually pull together a show for tomorrow. I haven't done anything for the show tomorrow yet.
But thank you for
Yep.
showing up tonight, Randy, and chilling out
No
and
problem.
listening to my rants.
Rant.
Um,
Rant on.
tomorrow, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. What are we talking about tomorrow, by the way?
We hadn't thought about it because we're trying to pick a wrestler or something that we kind of delve in because we did last time we did Randy Orton. We probably need to pick one because they're getting ready to hit the elimination chamber here this next week. So might take a look see what somebody on that because there's a couple of them. I mean, we may look a little bit deeper into Jacob Patu for all I know. I may look into him a little bit.
Or we could do someone from the past.
Yeah, Bruno Sammartino, any of the Von Erichs. I
Oh,
saw
I've got
somebody.
an idea for the next one. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah,
Jake the Snake Roberts.
I got no problem with that one. I used to love
Yeah,
Jake.
let's do an episode on Jake. Yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Okay.
He's a fascinating guy.
I will sit down somewhere and figure out our intro then. How's that?
Oh, you should for the thumbnail. You should do a close-up picture of Jake the Snake Roberts' face. Just Jake the Snake Roberts.
That sounds good. I can do that. And
All right,
and
folks.
watch him come out of the blue and sue me.
Nah, his image is public domain. Anyway,
Okay.
guys. Okay. It's time for Daddy to play some Cyberpunk now. Off to bed with you, children. Good night.
Bye.